Hello, and welcome to the drama-free, safe for work, never gonna let you down, Dad and Sons podcast. Joining me, as always, are my wholesome friends.
Wholesome.
My good boys.
Christian.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. But my wholesome good boys. Mr. George Wiedemann.
Yo.
And of course, Matt Visual.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás?
You say that about how good, wholesome, and Christian we are, but I have a feeling that one of the things that has really gotten me into history over the past year is trying to make sense of why.
Whoa! What are we doing here?
I thought we were gonna try and avoid this.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about religion here. What was this?
It is because it is somehow a less heavy topic than what we were talking about just before we started.
Which I think nobody needs to know about.
Yeah.
You know what? No one needs to know.
Was certain pictures that you could find on Twitter today.
Whoa!
Oh, for fuck's sake! I was gonna make a fun, hilarious joke about something else that people don't need to know about, which is the fact that Dead or Alive 6 exists and got made.
Wait, I don't follow the series. What are we on now? 6? We're on 6?
Yeah, we're on 6.
I wonder if it's more or less not safe for work than the pictures that were going around Twitter today.
Definitely more. They actually deliberately made some statements and sent some directions. You have to do a little bit of work now to unlock the titty costumes. They're a little bit further down the list. I know, right? Why even live? Yeah. In previous Dead or Alive games, you rode a line between the titty and the fisty.
What?
Fisty? What is the fisty?
High technical, kind of abstract, fast-paced fighting gameplay.
Don't put those together.
in addition to hot anime babes kicking each other. But now I don't think they know what to do with the franchise, as evidenced by a sequel that's kind of a rule update. Like, it's really discouraging.
Oh, like NBA 2K?
Yeah, kind of. Like, it's there to provide an engine for content later, and it's really depressing. The last time I seriously tried getting into a DOA game to learn it was DOA 4 in 2007, and I like, a lot of frustration I felt over the past couple years is boiled down into the thought of 12 years not actually manifesting into that big of a difference between DOA 6 and DOA 4. It definitely looks better, but in terms of the gameplay, they've done what needed to be done to turn it from every single player countering every single move from every single other player into something that's a little bit more balanced and fair of a competitive fighter. But in the process, it's lost its niche. And I don't know who they're trying to impress here. It's not flashy and polished and impressive with second to second ridiculous gameplay like how the NetherRealm games can be. It's not flashy enough to appeal to normies. It doesn't have the hyper balanced, hyper competitive, hyper polished technical fighting system that got communities going around Street Fighter and Tekken and even Smash these days. And there's also fighting games that exist now that are doing okay, like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, that are using experience and polished and style and grace to bring to life an older franchise that never really got the traditional fighting game treatment done right. And it's like it exists just to give the developer something to do. It's one of the most safest iterative jumps and sequels I think I've ever played, to the far extent that it almost feels like going back to DOA 5 vanilla, except with less fun costumes that have been replaced by some new default costumes that weirdly look cheap, like a lot of skin-tight bodysuits with palettes that can be easily swapped out, and robes that don't have really fancy light maps, that have shadows and brightness of the clothes matching the environment. They don't animate very heavily. That a lot of this game looks real cheap.
Yeah.
Like you were mentioning with Mortal Kombat last week, I'm glad I just got to rent it, but I'm also glad I can rent stuff to experience what's happening out there in the world. Because if I ended up buying this thing for full price, it would have been extremely underwhelming. And it's cool to see fighting games come back, but I guess not all of them are aging gracefully as some other franchises have been doing lately. Like, remember, Soul Calibur 6 freaking came out last year. We're living in a year where Soul Calibur and Dead or Alive and Mortal Kombat and Smash all had way big releases circa like 2017, 18, 19. And Street Fighter apparently kind of dribbled out way back in 2016 and is the odd sheep out. How weird is it that Street Fighter and, to a lesser extent, because I guess it's less of a shock because it's kind of a newer, more risky franchise, the DOA is the ones that are having a hard time catching up.
Yeah. It came out on March 1st. Oof.
DOA's been around for ages now.
Since 2000, right? Oh, you're talking about DOA 6 or the original?
No, just the franchise in general. I mean, it doesn't matter really when they release a new one. It's kind of been like a franchise that's always been sort of sitting in the background.
Yeah.
And never has seemingly improved much.
There were a few years. I remember I think I'm coming into this from a lot of memories from the Xbox and GameCube era when it was DOA and Soul Calibur who seemed to have adapted to 3D fighters. And now that we've gone back to 2D fighters, oh god, history's just like repeating and going full circle.
That's what it's become? Seriously?
Does it have any exotic mini games?
So far as I can tell, no. There's a story mode, an arcade mode, a little questy survival mode, which is like fine. I don't. It's not like Soul Calibur where you would expect to have tens of hours of single player content, but I am noticing that the single player content in both this and Soul Calibur, they both don't know what to do with the story mode. Soul Calibur has this mission battle mode in the older games, and in the new one, it's Libra battle mode. And that's where you make an avatar and travel across the map and go on an adventure.
Which was a worthy attempt at something new.
And really good. I had a blast with the single players in Soul Calibur 1 and 2. And with the latest one, I didn't get all the way through it, but I spent a good like 30, 40 hours in that mode. And the first few hours of it actually suffer from a lot of the same problems that these story modes in DOA 6 is suffering from, and that's that it's piss easy. It's waiting through about 3 minutes of dialogue, story, and loading screen so that you can get to a 45-second fight of mostly mashing 2 buttons on the controller.
Sounds like MK11.
That's how they do it in MK11, because I loved the story modes that NetherRealm had set up in Injustice and the previous, where the camera would like swoop from a really fast-paced, deliberately over-the-top, cheesy cutscene of two characters reaching a disagreement over, like, I don't know, whose change they should put in the vending machine. They squint at each other, the camera pulls out, and then they're just beating the shit out of one another.
But they don't do that in this one. Why?
That I thought they had finally had it figured out. They had finally figured out how to do a fighting game story mode.
I thought so too. I think it was 9 was the last time I played. When the first when they started doing it after the first Injustice, and it was good.
Yeah, because Injustice was always pretty much the winning one in terms of story.
Yeah. And then this one, 11, was just kind of weird.
So in both Soul Calibur 6 and DOA 6, you pick out the story scene from a timeline where you see the multiple characters' timelines all extending forward into the future with little dots that you pick and choose. The interface for the DOA 6 one is really weird, though. Imagine the entire screen zoomed into just one chunk of one character's timeline, and you can only pan that view of the chart around in a bounding box that's so restricted that the whole screen is just covered up by like one dot on a timeline that you should get a more comprehensive viewpoint of. That's UI quirks is a one thing. The biggest thing that I think is just so underwhelming to me is how similarly it plays to the last one, and the third layer underneath that is how the direction they've chosen to go in with how much visual polish they put into default costumes and stuff speak to imagery of this game getting rushed out. That's I think summing up a good 10-minute impression on my first couple days of DOA 6.
Damn.
Sounds like you've had a riveting time.
Yeah.
I am glad that if they want to give us sponsorships, I'm all game. If that GameFly is able to provide me a financial strategy of being able to sample what's going on with old franchises cheaply and risk-free, because that means that I can do stuff like this without feeling horrified about it.
I wonder if you can get through the MK11 story. There's like a lot of... They take it too seriously, I feel. Most of the time, except for Johnny Cage.
That Jax ending was pretty fun.
I kind of love when games do that, though. Like, have a really serious story that, because of the way the world and the universe is set up with all the campy characters and stuff, it just looks weird and messed up. But, God, it's so entertainingly stupid.
Yeah. The thing is, when they take themselves seriously and then they make a really stupid mistake. Okay, let me just say. In the middle of the story, there's a part where the girl who likes this king fights him just because they have a disagreement, right? Like MK style. He
Like,
gets beaten.
decapitating him and stuff.
No. You don't do any fatalities during the story. Sadly. Even when you actually need to kill the characters, that would have been cool. But you beat the guy, the king, and because you beat the guy because you're playing the girl, the guy gets captured, and that starts a whole like few hours storyline because you have to rescue the guy. But the reason why the guy's there is because you beat him, and the girl rescues the guy obviously because she loves him. Like, does that make sense to you? Like, it's so stupid.
I mean, as we've seen today,
Okay.
Oh my god.
people make mistakes.
You know, people are probably going to be listening to this who have no idea, or listening to this like months later, have no idea what we're talking about, and you just keep mentioning it. You keep mentioning it, and people are going to be like, what was he talking about? What was he talking about?
I feel like we're in a piece of history in the making. So,
Really?
I don't know.
Liam is trying to hold his tongue.
MK sounds interesting. Dead or Alive, maybe not so much.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know it came out. I didn't even know it came out.
I know, right?
I didn't even know why George is playing it.
Because I like...
Yeah, to be honest, there's so many other games he could play, and he's playing this game.
And I'm also...
This is the game you chose to play? All the nice games that we've talked about on this podcast, and you chose to play Dead or Alive? Is it because of the costumes, George?
No,
Does something need to come out of...
Oh, no, let's not go there.
when I was a Dreamcast kid, and Soul Calibur and DOA 2 and Power Stone were fun games on that console, and that's when I got into it. That's all.
We're being so mean on this podcast, dude.
I was a 12-year-old kid who didn't have a Street Fighter machine, so DOA was the closest substitute. Okay, yeah, there's definitely a different mentality going on where we're back in when I was a 12-year-old dumbass and it was 2000 and if I was at the Blockbuster picking out a game to rent, if you looked at the back of the box, I wouldn't want that 2D pixelated shit. No, if you were trying to impress 12-year-old George, it had to be the 3D anime babes instead of the beautiful hand-placed Disney-influenced pixel art that I fucking love so much more today. No, I picked Dead or Alive over the other one. Why? See, that's the reason why I rented Dead or Alive 6 this week, is because I've been making mistakes since I was 11 going on 12, you guys. Don't try to out-mistake me.
Gets it in the mail. Why did I do this?
Actually, this is a really good point. This is actually really interesting. Is there a game or like a game series that had another competing game series that is kind of seen as inferior that you played?
Wish you picked instead of the one you did?
Not that you wish you picked instead, but that you fondly adore, but you know full well that it is not the superior franchise.
I think I just now figured that out about myself, is that when I was a kid, the Dreamcast had tons of great fighting games, tons of great 2D pixel fighting games, and I did not pick them because they weren't 3D at the time.
Power Stone, Third Strike, even though Third Strike was hard to play on that Aki controller. Oh my god.
Third Strike, Alpha, MVC2, all those games I missed out on because they weren't 3D.
What? Wait, Power Stone was 3D. How did you not play Power Stone? Welcome to the Power Stone world. I love that game.
Yeah, I like a good Power Stone every
Power Stone is fantastic.
It's broken and imbalanced, but I love it. I love it. Nostalgia.
There's also Skies of Arcadia, which was my first generic JRPG instead of one of the Final Fantasies. I went through the PlayStation Final Fantasies after that one. But that's like, it's like the Dead or Alive of generic RPGs, generic Japanese RPGs. It plays it so safe. It's fine. It's not offensive. It has some cute characters, and that's primarily its marketing material.
Do people play trash? Now, I used to play a lot of trash when I was young.
Yeah. I'm guessing kids still do, and I'm guessing kids will always have to play trash.
I used to really not even know what was trash.
Exactly.
A game was a game.
A game is a game. I always wondered about that. Any young people playing trash out there?
Because nowadays the kids can play a good free game, and they can pick and choose a good free one. Back when we were kids, I doubt there were great free games unless they were incredibly short browser-based distractions.
A lot of free-to-play games are of like pretty top-tier quality because they have to be to make the money back anyway.
Yeah.
Which is a paradox.
It is kind of hard to think of a free-to-play game that would be bad, necessarily.
Because if I was a kid nowadays, I'd be playing Apex Legends for sure. I'd be playing, Fortnite and Overwatch like all the kids.
MTG Arena.
Probably one of those.
God, I need to stop playing.
And you can jump right into those genres with good examples of them. But I wonder if kids. What kids do to pick and choose the good stuff from the bad stuff when it comes time to spend that allowance money.
Do they go to Metacritic? I imagine they just look at reviews.
Might be more reliable than seeing if the graphics on the back of the box are pixel art or 3D.
I miss those days.
And making all of your decisions based on that. God, I was an idiot. Why? Why did I get into DOA games?
And yet here we are. Almost 19 years since the first DOA, and you're still picking it.
Old habits die hard. Okay, what other games have we been talking about? We've been I talked about Dead or Alive for 20 minutes, and then we just kind of beat around the bush of the world Dead or Alive grew up in for 10 more minutes. we can spice this up.
We're not exactly top tier quality, are we?
Oh,
we are the 60 to 70 B-list rated game on Metacritic in a podcast form.
Wow, we're aiming high, aren't we? Oh my god!
No, we are literally the box that George picked up when he was 10 and was like, "This looks cool and rad," and actually turned out to be pretty mediocre and trash.
Well, when look at what's going on in the social media landscape these days, I have to wonder if keeping a low profile is a valid strategy sometimes.
Look who's making jokes about it now.
The jokes, man, that was legit strategy. That was some SEO tactic wisdom.
So keep the podcast pretty garbage, right? On that line.
Yeah.
It's listenable.
No, I don't. I don't want so many people
Listen,
attracted to it
borderline.
that if we disappoint them, they'll form a pitchfork mob. What's another topic, guys?
I can't stop playing Magic the Gathering.
Oh my
Again.
god! Again,
But I played
I don't know
another
how to
game.
talk about that.
I played another game.
What's the other one?
Well, firstly, let me say that Magic the Gathering Arena, it's getting better. It's getting better. And I got to Platinum rank.
I agree.
Nice. I
Yeah.
have no
Very
idea
good.
if that's good
And
or
then
not, but
immediately got
nice.
D-ranked because I couldn't.
Oh no!
Dude.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
But no, it's really fun. It's really good. So if you do like Magic the Gathering, you should play it because it's getting better. And a new set just came out for it that's really good called War of the Spark. Very fun. Anyway, the game I have been playing, that I played for a couple of hours over the past couple of days, is a game called Descenders. Descenders. It was a game that was in early access, and then I saw a trailer for it.
Oh,
I
trailers.
I knew about it because I think I follow the guy who publishes it.
Oh
On Twitter.
yeah. I saw gifs of this on Twitter. It looks fun.
It's on the surface it just looks like a mountain biking game,
Just playing with the physics.
and I have zero interest in mountain biking whatsoever. But what's interesting about it is it's like a completely like physics based mountain biking game that has controls similar to skate.
Yeah, so you're shifting your weight on the bike,
Yeah.
and you that's how you steer, right?
Yeah, you're like shifting your weight, and also you can do tricks similar to skate by using the right analog stick and doing stuff. And you have to. It's really hard to begin with because it is incredibly physics based. So like even like being slightly off, like being tweaked to the left or right and not landing perfect will just immediately make you smash into the dirt.
Yeah, it's nice how video games can like actually speak to some commonalities in interest. Like I'm not into sports either, but just rolling around physics objects in any Tony Hawk or skate game has
Yeah.
always traditionally been damn good fun. It's marble madness.
Well, that's the thing is like I have no interest in mountain biking whatsoever, but it looked pretty good, and it was 25% off because they just released like the version 1.0, the full release on Steam, and they had multiplayer and stuff, and it kind of looked cool, and I kind of was interested in bombing down some big hills. What makes it even more interesting is that all of the tracks in the game, and people are going to complain at me because I complain about roguelikes a lot with random generation, but this is a game that randomly generates a seed for a level.
Ooh. Can it have a never-ending downhill?
Well, not that you have that, but what you can do is it has like 3 settings. It has like steepness, it has curves, and then it has stunts. And you can like tweak these bars to, and then tweak gameplay modifiers to create different courses depending on how you want to ride and stuff. So you can free ride in the game by like making a course, and you can just like fuck with the sliders, and like it can have shit tons of curves, or you can make it so it's got no curves, so it's a straight line and just shit tons of jumps, so you can do loads of tricks. It's really modifiable and super interesting that it does this. What is even more interesting is when you do the career mode, it is kind of like a roguelike, where you start out on this like big map grid, and it has all these nodes on it, and you choose a node to go to, and the nodes are just random levels that have been made by this terrain generator. So then you go to that node, you ride that level, it has like an objective, and the idea is just to get to the bottom of the hill and do maybe the the extra objective to get like more points or extra life and stuff. But you have a unique life bar that carries throughout all of the different levels. So if you crash into the ground or you bail a trick or something, you lose a life.
So
And
it's like
then-
a survival mode.
It's like a survival mode, and the idea is that you have to try and progress to the end of like that area. So like the beginning area is called like, I think it's called Highland. It's kind of like a simple grassy area. There's not many trees, and it's kind of easy. So if you go off the track and stuff, you don't just immediately smack into loads of trees and crash. But you have to go through and eat. There's always like ones that are like more. You always kind of maybe have 3 options, and you can look at like how many points is put into like curves or stunts, So you can tell if a track is going to be kind of mellow or it's going to be really curvy, which means you're going to have to take it pretty slow, because once you start bombing around curves, it becomes almost impossible to control. There's ones that I always aim for, which are the stunt ones that, you can have massive jumps and do big tricks and stuff on. And then you just have to select the levels as you're going through that are like these different nodes. And you have to just try and get to the end of it. And then you move on to the next area and you unlock it. And then you can free ride in there as well. It's really smart and addictively good fun. Like, I crash all the time. It's really hard. But then just restarting and going again and seeing what levels it throws at me is really fun.
Have you played with that first-person camera at all?
Yes.
Ooh, because I'm really like the look of that, and I'm thinking of how great that would look in VR.
It's hard as balls, but it's really good. It has like different camera modes. It has like you pretty much standard behind camera, third-person thing, but then it has the skate camera, which is like it's below the bike, and it kind of makes it a little easier to control because it becomes more like skate, which is a little more, I don't know, like controllable. I don't know why it feels that way because the game doesn't change. There's one that's like a complete overhead camera view, which makes the jumps look smaller, so you kind of approach them differently. And then the other one is that first person one you were mentioning, where it's just basically first person mountain biking. It is terrifying, and when you do flips and stuff, and the whole world like rotates around you, it's so hard to control. But it's brilliant.
It looks like all those scary Red Bull GoPro first person speeding through the Brazilian slums on the down of a mountain video.
That's exactly what it's like, and it's really fun. And the sense of speed you get with it, like the controller's like vibrating in your hands, and like you're losing like the grips of your handlebars, and it's like, oh god, I'm barely gonna survive.
I want to Vorpix that. I really want to plug that into Vorpix.
This looks cool,
it's really good fun. I do recommend it. And it has asynchronous multiplayer. So while you're also doing all these levels, you could just watch other people do them as well, because there are other people on the track. And you can't physically like bump into them or anything, but you can see like them bailing around you or the way they approach tricks and stuff. It's a smart game. And really well made, and it's 25% off on Steam right now because it's just gone into full release. I guess it's left early access.
It's just under $19, and I'm genuinely intrigued. This looks like a lot of fun. It looks like something that I would have like needed right now. I like short, satisfying sessions.
Be prepared though. It's not like Tony Hawk's in the fact that you can do insane tricks and get away with it barely. It is like it is like a weird in between skate and also being like a complete simulator.
You're talking about like new skate, not like old skate where you can kind of just repeat snake repeat tricks over and over and over and over again. It seems like you can, because I'm looking at these videos and it looks dope. Like people doing riding backwards. It doesn't have
like because it's mountain biking. It doesn't have like as extensive trick list as like skateboarding or BMXing. It doesn't have like tail whips and stuff, but it has like front flips and back flips and doubles of those, and then McTwists, and it has like can-cans and knickknacks and stuff. And the idea is that you're trying to combine them all while riding the hills. So riding the hills and trying to just stay on your bike, kind of similar to Trials, but less physics-based as Trials. So it's kind of a weird in-between skate and Trials, and that's what's really unique about it.
It looks dope. I don't know if I have the patience for it, but it looks
you get used to it. Like in the beginning it feels really stiff, like you're like, oh, I can barely turn the bike, but you get modifiers when you're playing it. So when you're playing through the levels, you get modifiers if you do really well, and the modifiers are called like crew members. They're kind of like your mountain biking crew, and you can choose. So there'll be like 5 different options, and the options will be like you have a better chance of not crashing when you fall from a really high height, or there'll be one where your handlebars won't shake so much when you're going at really high speed, so it's easier to control. There's another one that says like there's more checkpoints on the track, so it's easier for you to complete without having to start at the beginning. And you can sort of modify your gameplay as you're going through it. It's really, really interesting.
Just to, I guess, paint a picture, a lot of the videos you can see like people, because since it's like physics based, right? So for the audience, you can flip your bike around and ride backwards and the momentum will still be there. Run off a ramp, do a trick through a building and land.
I mean,
like it's
I want to see that from
crazy.
first person.
I mean, you can. I imagine some people can do some pretty crazy shit, but like, it's not like
I've been
Skate
watching
where if you spend 10 minutes, you'll immediately get it and be able to do it. It's one of those that takes a lot of practice, or at least getting used to. And then maybe you can do stuff like that. I found that like if you don't have enough speed to go up ramps and then you ride back down them, it's really hard to control. It is kind of like the realism of, oh fuck, I don't know how to ride backwards.
Yeah.
It's good shit though.
Yeah.
I recommend it. It's just come out in full release. It has multiplayer now, so you can play, like, you can bomb down hills with other people and stuff, and it has like quite a robust amount of modes. It's got like free ride, it's got career mode, it's got another career mode that has extra challenges, and also like the hub area in which you start is like a giant amusement park for mountain bikers, and there's tons of ramps and interesting things to just ride on. It's good fun.
Yeah. Well,
So when I'm not playing MTG Arena, I'm descending down hills.
I've been playing some Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls.
Which scroll in particular? Which one of those Elder Scrolls was it?
Just I could be vague with it, right?
No, they're all like incredibly different 4-year development cycle mega sequels with different art styles and and lore revisions and
I've been playing a good one.
Blades
It's
on
been
your
good.
phone.
What?
Blades on your phone.
is it the old Elder Scrolls mobile games for like flip phones with NES graphics, the one that came out when Oblivion released?
Elder Scrolls Online.
I've heard okay things. That game had a rough launch, but as the years went on, it developed a fan base that appreciates it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty popular now. It's pretty popular now. For good reason. It's turned into a good
an
reason.
MMO.
Good game. Yeah, it's an MMO. It's dope, man. It's just like what I said way back.
Wait.
Thing is,
What is going on? George is playing like Dead or Alive, and you're playing an MMO of Elder Scrolls. How does this happen? Like, I go away for like a week, I come back. What's going on?
I also want to point out that you can't just not narrow down the Elder Scrolls. You could have been talking about Skyrim for Amazon Alexa. There's so many of them. You can't narrow this. You can't just assume we'll know which. Oh, was it Elder Scrolls for the paperback novel you were playing?
It's the same thing I said before. It's basically like Skyrim, but you get to play with people, and it's like action combat. And they fix a lot of the issues. It works. It's a lot of content to go through, and there's no subscription. You can just kind of jump in.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
So how much does
it's not
it-
free
does
to
it cost
play.
to
You just have to
buy?
buy it for like $20. You get Morrowind
Okay.
and the base game, and then it come out with a new expansion or whatever. And there's a lot of I've been enjoying builds ever since Path of Exile. So this one you can actually make some cool builds because of like the champion point system. It has like this big grid. Well, it's not like a grid, but like star system that you can put points into and change up your character based on what you want and stuff. And every class can do everything, like healing, tank, and damage. Some classes do things better than others, but you can do everything with any class. It's dope. It's fun.
How much have you played of it so far? Is this your first time with it? Did you play it when
I
it came out?
played it back in beta and a little bit after launch, and there were some issues. So I stopped then, but it's been like 4 or 5 years since I touched it, and it feels good. Feels good. There's so much story. Like, it's just like going out and questing. It's the same thing. There's some epic moments. There's some like just okay moments. It's the same thing as like Skyrim and stuff. It's dope. I gotta say it's dope. Interesting characters. If you like that lore, it's there, and you can play the whole game solo if you want, because obviously you can just play it like an Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah, I was about to ask, you say that all the classes can do everything, and there's no subscription model? It almost sounds like they're building a co-op adventure rather than a persistent MMO that's supposed to last forever.
Yes, but I should mention, though, like, they want you to get that ESO Plus. They want you to.
Oh, there's the catch.
They want. I mean, you can play.
So there is a way to subscribe.
I think the number one thing
Wait,
that
so you can
gets
play
you
for
to
free.
subscribe is the crafting bag. It puts all your crafting materials in that bag. You don't have to craft if you don't want to, but you can craft gear, and it's good to craft gear because you get really good gear from crafting. If you don't have the craft bag, it fills up your inventory. And that's like the number one thing I feel like you need to subscribe for. I'm kidding you.
So you subscribe for a better interface?
Yeah, well, no, like it's all right. So let me just tell you what it brings real quick. It gives you crowns, which is the in-game currency, so you can buy whatever you want. You get like an allowance, like mom giving you an allowance. All right, so $15 a month gives you an allowance of crowns. It lets you get 10% XP and various things. It like shortens the time on some skills as well, like crafting. And they give you the crafting bag, and I think all the DLC, everything's unlocked. Maybe not the classes. I don't believe the classes are unlocked, but all the DLC is unlocked. So you don't have to buy the expansion if you don't want to. You can just pay $15 a month. You can pay $15 and just play everything and then stop. You can do that too. But everything goes back to normal after you stop playing and cancel ESO Plus. And then you can use those crowns to kind of buy the DLC if you want as well to keep it. So it's
Why am I tempted to play this?
It is cosmetic. Everything is cosmetic from what I can see, and from what people said as well. Like I've looked through the crown store. It's all like mounts and upgrades to your account. They do have a slight gambling box that gives you cosmetics, just like kind of Overwatch does. They have that there. But also they give you an allowance. So they're trying to ride that line there. They're trying to ride that line. And they haven't crossed it yet, I guess, in the 5 years. So I guess it's okay. But it's there, and they really, really advertise to you about the Crown Store. Like when you log out, they give you a daily reward. Well, it's not part of the Crown Store, but it's Crown Store stuff. So, I just that's the only thing. Everything else is pretty good, I gotta say. It's pretty good. You don't have to. You just play it just like an Elder Scrolls game. You don't have to craft. You don't have to do any of that. You just play it. And it's fun.
What class are you playing? What type of playstyle do you have?
I went with the Magic Templar, so every class can go Magic or Stamina, and it changes like the gameplay drastically. So I just Magic Templar, so I can like heal myself and do damage. It's like a good solo build. I went crazy looking up solo guides. That's what I usually do before I go into a game like this. So yeah.
Are you a Khajiit or an Argonian or a human or what?
Are you a furry or normal?
I'm a high elf. I'm a high elf.
Bruh.
Yeah. You like to be better than everybody.
I want to be Redguard, but every race has like a passive.
I want to be Redguard, but that's behind a paywall.
Oh my god, you wanted to be black, but you didn't like the passives.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So I had to be, the 1%.
Video games are fucked up.
Some might say video game culture is fucked up too, George.
Yeah. Kind of is. Yep. Ooh. Ooh, boy. Man, we get spicy on this channel.
No. Let's keep it wholesome. I just want to quickly mention, speaking of wholesome, I saw Detective Pikachu.
I'll be seeing it tonight. We're like one day off of syncing up a talk.
No, we're not talking about this. We're not talking about this.
Can I just say? Can I just say?
The new Game of Thrones was garbage.
Yeah. No, but Detective Pikachu, I enjoyed for reasons. I don't want to say anymore because I don't want George to have any expectations whatsoever.
But what you gotta know is that Skype had kind of a lag spike when you said that, so you slowed way the hell down and sounded even more cautious.
Perfect.
I really enjoyed that.
Okay, that's definitely not Skype. That's just you doing that.
No, that's just me. No, I enjoyed it. I'll be intrigued to talk about it next week in more detail.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm gonna enjoy the movie. I feel like it's gonna be worth my ticket.
I look at it.
It's worth your ticket. It's by far the best video game movie. Like,
right? You know what? I didn't think about it.
I was wondering about that because there've been like Pokemon movies before, but they weren't directly based off of a Pokemon game before.
No, this is based off the game. There are so many references to the game. There is one reference to the anime, but it's entirely based off the game.
Nice.
It is the best video game movie by far, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of the other ones: Resident Evil, Prince of Persia, Doom, etc. It's way better. It's actually a cohesive movie.
Yeah, none of those are good that you just mentioned. Assassin's Creed, none of those are good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. It doesn't have much to beat, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought, and also the CGI. I don't want to go because you guys are watching. So let's just hold off. Let's hold off for now.
Let's hold off.
Just hold off.
Yeah,
I'm gonna laugh at the CGI and all that.
I got 9 hours.
It looks a little trash, but I don't care. It's
No,
Pokemon.
the CGI,
got character.
No, I want to defend the CGI. I want to defend it.
Okay.
There's definitely some direction there to it.
Yeah. Okay.
There is one scene that just I was like, what? But other than that, like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I just want to see Mr. Mime.
I want to fucking talk about it.
I want to say just one thing, Liam.
Yes.
What's happening to Game of Thrones? Like, what do you think is happening there? Like, I feel like there is a little bit of trash going on.
It is really strange because I just don't know whether it's worse because everybody knows it's the last season and everybody has expectations, or it is just straight up bad. I found myself not feeling anything, which to me is the telltale sign that it's not good. Yeah. Because I've always felt something. Even in like the previous, I thought season 7 was really good. I enjoyed season 7 a lot.
I forget that it's coming on.
I don't forget that it's coming on because I don't want it spoiled for me. So I'm keeping up with that. But in regards to like getting to the end of the episode and the credits rolling, I'm kind of like, where, like, this feels flat.
Yeah, there was a moment, for people who don't watch, there's a moment in the last episode where...
Spoilers, just in case. I'm just throwing it out there. Spoilers. George.
Someone gets...
Cover those ignorant ears.
Okay.
No, someone gets kidnapped.
Wait, this is Game of Thrones, right? Yeah, I don't care. It's fine.
Someone gets kidnapped, and it makes no sense.
If
Yeah.
we're talking about
And-
Pikachu, though, I'm gonna go bury my head in the sand.
Now, we're not talking about Pikachu.
One person gets kidnapped. One person, single person gets kidnapped, and it makes no sense. And it
Yes.
starts something, right?
This person was on a boat
It's
as well.
a moment. It's not something that's like, oh, this is whatever happened. No, it's a important character, and something happens. It makes no sense. Like, it's almost like they need to take an episode and shorten it into one. It was weird. I don't know if there's this mistake has happened before, but I don't think it has. I don't. Usually, Game of Thrones is decent writing. Like it's not like perfect or something like that. But this is like a sin almost. Like, what's going? I don't know what that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's contributing to a massive change in a certain character, which I thought was going to kind of happen anyway, but, like, the way it's been handled is not great.
It was not great. Yeah, to be honest, it's gonna be over, and it's whatever. I'm just gonna enjoy the series.
I'm intrigued to see if they pull it back. I have my theories about who will be the king or queen at the end, but
Yeah. Hope it's like some.
speaking, like, it's kind of the telltale sign that when everybody's biggest revelation of this episode is pointing out that Starbucks pumpkin latte cup.
I saw that.
Someone left it in, so they don't really look at the spoilers and how bad that writing is. But it's fine.
The fact that someone was like, "Oh yeah, let's just let Amelia
I did not
Clark
see it the first
sell."
time. I did not see it the first time, dude.
Oh, I saw the
saw
screen on Twitter.
Yeah, and then I went back and went to the HBO app. I was like, oh my god, it's legit. I can't believe it.
I saw a movie where a stagehand is in the bottom middle of the shot as the camera pans across, and there's little to no attempt being made to
But this is the
hide
thing,
that
it's
guy.
like everybody's making a big deal out of it, but then there was like 50,000 posts about all the different continuity errors and stuff that has happened in Game of Thrones in the past. There's one where Jaime Lannister is straight up holding a plastic water bottle. There's one where someone's wearing... there's one where there's an extra wearing like denim jeans in the background.
No way.
The water bottle is...
I gotta look this stuff
I really
up.
like picturing that one.
I gotta look this stuff
Game
up,
of
dude.
Thrones water bottle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, on that note, I have a slight recommendation for people who are into my weird tastes in movies. I saw a 1960s classic last week called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, which is ridiculously up my alley right now. This is a Gilbert and Sullivan's-esque musical comedy that tries to make a mishmash of three ancient Greek comedies and set them in ancient Rome and make them appeal to modern sensibilities of comedy. And the wit is just something else. The cartoony overacting everyone has is a lot of fun. A couple cornerstones of like Gen X inherited from baby boom culture makes more sense now. A couple Futurama and Simpsons characters, I think I can see where they're coming from. Zap Brannigan and Hedonism Bot seem like they're based on archetypes from this movie, and it's just a good, wholesome, quality, good time. Up until I started watching it with the girlfriend. You ever, like, have that experience where you watch something by yourself and it's fine, and then you watch it with the girlfriend and it's super awkward? Or is that just me?
Yep.
I hope these don't come back in a Facebook or Twitter post to haunt you, George.
God, try not to think too hard about the Twitter drama happening completely all... You know that webcomic of the dog inside of the house that's on fire, and they're just like, this is fine.
Is that being a YouTuber? Is that a synonym for being a YouTuber?
Yes, that's just like our generation.jpg. Anyways, if you occasionally want to forget about the fire burning down the house of decades of established institutions and years of established admirable media personalities, watch this good old classic movie. A funny thing happened on the way to the forum, but if you end up watching it with like your mom or your girlfriend, keep in mind that there's a lot of sexist jokes. That's all.
Yeah, you know what? You don't really realize how sexist things are until you listen to it again when you're older. Like, I remember having this high school playlist, and I went and listened to it, and I was like, "Oh no, oh God, what? What are they saying?" Because back then I didn't really listen to the lyrics.
You're like adjusting your glasses and your wig.
Yeah.
Oh dear. That
As
poor
I sipped
man.
this wine, I was like,
From a
okay,
box.
I don't feel comfortable with listening to this anymore because this is gross almost, you know? Like
Yeah. Well, when you're a kid, you're trying hard to think that you're real dark and edgy and smart, and that makes you different than everyone else. And then you grow up and realize everyone's been there.
I would like to say that, but I just didn't listen to the lyrics when I was young.
Oh.
I didn't pay attention. So I was just bouncing and you would sing the chorus, and sometimes even the chorus was bad, and you just didn't really. And it happens with today's music too. Like, I could say a few things, but I rather not. I rather keep it vague.
well, one thing that for me has been interesting is how different it feels to watch some stuff with the girlfriend versus alone. Because, like, you really don't notice sometimes. Like, your brain does not catch these things.
That has happened before. Until
you're, like, sitting next to another brain that does.
Going out on a date and playing some music and realizing, oh, shit. Change this one. Let me remove that from the playlist.
This is awkward.
Oh, of course, I just have a conversation about it, but like it's yeah.
Oh, I bet you do.
Yeah, but awkward moments. I love awkward moments. Let's go in there and face first into the fire.
Ooh. So there's some awkward moments that have gone on Twitter over the past week that might be a little less depressing for us to talk about than what we were talking about before the podcast. And that is...
Wait, what? I thought you were going to like straight up just start talking about it. I was like, whoa.
No. I am segueing us into David Cage's first big awkward story of 2019.
Ooh.
And that is this tweet that has David Cage saying, #Detroit Become Human changed me forever. It proved me that video games didn't have to be about killing people. They could evoke complex themes and subtle emotions, resonate differently with different people. #Happy22QD. I guess that means happy 22nd birthday to Quantic Dream. It's a very strange tweet for a lot of reasons. Where should we start?
I don't know why we're giving time to a David Cage tweet.
You know what? Let him be happy with his creation, you know? I'm not going to say that his game
He's obviously a mastermind genius. Like, just let him sit in his own
world. You know, if he wasn't such a bad guy, I guess you could say, can we say that? Yeah. If he's not such a bad guy, I guess I'd be like, you know what? Let him live. You know, he created something, he's happy with it, that's fine. But I guess because he's done some shady shit,
yeah, I was gonna say,
it makes it worse. And it's just like, no, dude, no, your game wasn't good. Your game was, you know, not to say it was bad, it was enjoyable in some areas, but for it to be deep, no, it was not. I'm sorry, it was not deep in any way.
The troublemakers, the Game Workers Unite, are actually taking submissions from Quantic Dream employees. They are taking anonymous submissions for stories about sexual harassment going on at Quantic Dream that they're gonna try to corroborate and do something with. Yeah, this tweet is weird for so many reasons. First off the top of my head is that David Cage and Quantic Dream have made games before that aren't primarily about killing people, that try, you know, infamously in the David Cage school of tradition, they make attempts at tackling complex themes and subtle emotions that resonate differently with different people. This has been going on for like 15 years since 2004 or 5 when Fahrenheit and Indigo Prophecy were in development. And if you go back before then, he was making games with David Bowie around the turn of the millennium with Omnicron. And there's a bit of grammar in here that's messed up. He says, "It proved me." And to be fair, English is not his first
French.
language.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
so...
But he does write video games in English, so maybe that would explain some stuff.
This doesn't sound like it's from someone who has been doing this over and over again for 20 years as a career, because he singles out this one particular game changing him. And it also does sound like someone who does not speak English as their first language. The weirdness between those two factors is that it reads like a piece of anonymized crypto advertising that got accidentally posted on his main account. And now all of a sudden I have to question everything. Is this something developers do? Do developers or their PR firms make alt social media accounts that they promote their games with and like basically post fake praise with? That's weird.
I imagine, yes, definitely. But I imagine in David Cage's case, it's straight from his heart. It's just what he truly believes.
Both of those are like kind of sad. Both of those possibilities.
But he obviously is a strange man, for the lack of a better word, and he does some odd things. And as Matt has pointed out, he's got a reputation for being the shady, nasty dude.
Yeah.
So praising his own game and talking in weird philosophical, what he deems to be philosophical nuances, does sound like a David Cage thing to do.
I don't think I can trust anything on the internet anymore, ever. Like after reports dropped on their existing troll factories and it became known that there are people whose jobs is to argue on the internet, I just can't believe anything anymore. This David Cage tweet, it could be part of a conspiracy. I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't choose to have any argument around me that's actually making sense of the chaotic nothingness that the world has become.
You know how you talk about your game? You talk about your game like the God of War director, Cory
Balrog.
Yeah, that with love, with like
the most creative team, most hardworking team in the world. We all put it together. Thank you guys.
Yeah, that's how you talk about your stuff.
Right.
You know, like you can see it. Like, but I mean, not everyone is gonna be so
Cory
invested in their project.
Yeah.
But
Cory is like my go-to guy for how you should treat social media as a famous video game director.
Yes.
Not only is he like very appreciative of his team, but also very appreciative of all the fans. He's very appreciative of Sony as a partner. He's very appreciative of God of War as a franchise. And he's also very defensive when it comes to points he stands for, but he picks and chooses his battles quite frequently. But he knows when to like not engage in stuff, and also
David Cage doesn't know what account he's logged into.
Maybe, but yeah, and Cory never really talks about himself. He always just says it's such an amazing experience to be a part of it. When of course,
that's another thing.
He's the main driving force behind all of it.
Whereas Detroit Become Human changed David in particular forever. I gotta run to the bathroom.
Perfect.
Well, that ends this news segment for this week.
Well, I only play for the fighting. I appreciate the expansive multi-tier environments and the 16 characters with the pixel shading bump mapping and the rich plot development. Seriously, why else would I play it? She kicks eye. Rated T for teen.
10637.
Oh. Oh God.
The train wreck has begun.
The train wreck is back on the tracks. We're all synced
train
up on
wreck.
this ride together.
Oh, you're not gonna try again, Liam? You just got.
Nope, the train wreck has pulled into the station and we are back here at the Dad and Son show and, speaking from one of George's favorite human beings to another. From David Cage to Randy Pitchford.
Yeah.
It's time for the news.
See, even though he might get in serious trouble, David Cage at least has not ever talked to me, and I've never talked to David Cage.
You would love it, though. Let's be honest. Let's be 100% honest.
Maybe.
You would love it.
Because I did have my single Twitter spat with Randy Pitchford. And guess between the two of us, who's in the news this week for getting in a bunch of trouble?
It's George.
No.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Well, good
What
thing
have
that
you been
story got...
sending on Snapchat?
To be fair, Matt, Oh, no. To be fair, Matt, George has not swindled you and me out of $12 million yet.
So there's allegations going on in his lawsuit with his old lawyer, who apparently got pissed off and decided to sue him after quitting, that he siphoned off $12 million of game revenue over to a personal fund that was supposed to be shared with the team. Anyways, that's not actually
The news. There's more
directly
news.
irrelevant to this case. That is about Claptrap's former voice actor, who it turns out was a VP of development at Gearbox. I'm trying to remember if they're referring to business development or software development there, because I think he was in a business role. There was basically someone in some kind of leadership position named David Eddings, who did not primarily work as a voice actor, but provided Claptrap's voice for free as tertiary duties to his financial executive stuff. And this was something that he got offered to do again. After leaving the company in 2017, he was offered to play Claptrap again for 2019's upcoming Borderlands 3. And he denied it off of the basis that they could not afford him. Randy then responded on Twitter saying that they offered him double the union rate and it should have been a generous offer. David Eddings then replied saying, no, also because Randy Pitchford physically assaulted me in the lobby of the Marriott Marquis at GDC 2017.
Oh.
Eddings also said that Randy was stalking him on social media, that Randy was operating a business in which sleight of hand, his words, was
the magician
a
in
modus
him.
operandi. Yeah, which is a dig at Randy Pitchford wanting to be a magician and being super into magic. It's weird that we know that about him, you know?
Well, he's very forthright with it.
David Eddings also says that Randy refers to people as muggles, like in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
People who don't know magic.
Because he's magic.
Because Randy Pitchford is into magic.
Why is that so funny? I can just imagine him going around his office being such a fucking dweeb. Being like, ha, what
Pick
up,
a card,
muggles?
any card.
The mental image of it is just weird. Like, I'm really into... As you guys know me personally, which means you probably know this and aren't surprised by it, but I'm really into, cooking and bicycles. And it would just kind of weird me out if that
So
became
wholesome.
a part of my video game career.
Do you reckon there's rules at Gearbox where you're not allowed to be a magician?
Yeah, what if you're a better magician than Randy Pitchford?
Do you automatically get fired once you can do a card trick?
I wonder, is he going to still be part of the Magicians Union that demands to be taken very seriously?
He is a bit like Job. He is a bit like Job.
The Society of American Magicians. Wait, no, that's the real one. Which was the one in the show? Okay, anyways. Yeah, it's not exactly, I don't know. I feel like our reactions are fairly understated because we knew about this and half expected it. And well, I say knew about it as in we knew about it a few days ago. But physical assault is in my opinion taking these allegations of Twitter drama up to another level that is blurring the line with potential defamation, because that's illegal, and you are not supposed to allege that someone did something illegal unless you have proof, which means that he is calling Randy's bluff. That Randy was also in trouble in the news this week for either a miscommunication or a lie about Borderlands microtransaction scheme. He didn't want to use that word, but there were still some kind of fairly benign cosmetic-only purchases that still fit the description, but he didn't want the media attaching that word to his game, even though it is not an inaccurate descriptor. And I guess people, a lot of fans, a lot of readers, a lot of casual consumers are now in the know that the boss behind Borderlands, who should not also be taking all the credit for Borderlands, as we also should know, is kind of a wild card at this point.
He voiced Claptrap 5 times in 5 games.
And that
Pokemon Poker Night 2.
That was not what they were paying him for either. And apparently, I have seen talk in the union circles as well about this informing some of the decisions they want to make, that extra duties that are not part of your job description should be given some kind of extra compensation outside of the usual payment schedule for your actual job description to avoid situations like this in the future. But, physically assaulting people probably lost Randy that deal more than any kind of money amount, if that turns out to be true. I don't think you can go to work with someone comfortably after they physically assaulted you.
Yeah. I would 100% understand not wanting to do that.
Yeah. So on another stop of the very same train, we have the first big example in recent memory in the English-speaking world of video game developers picketing and walking out and saying, what do we want? X policy change. When do we want it now? And this happened at Riot Games among 150 employees who walked out over a bit of clause in their contracts relating to forced arbitration over cases of sexual harassment. And what forced arbitration is a conflict resolution method in which you basically get the conflicting employees to sit at a table together, supervised by their superiors, to talk it out and try and get along. There are 2 higher-up employees at Riot Games, including the chief operating officer, who have had pretty heavy complaints levied against them through the HR system and through some insider reporting from Kotaku about these guys being accused of everything sexually weird in a professional workplace, from ball grabbing to, which is immature antics, to gendered promotion strategies, which is something that could be legitimately ruining people's careers. And that's what a lot of this unrest is over. Weirdly enough, the bosses are actually encouraging and not disrupting this action, which makes me think that there might also be some internal conflicts going on between the higher-ups as well. A Riot representative that Kotaku did not name sent them an email saying the company's management is allowing its employees to participate and has urged managers to be accommodating and understanding. We respect rioters who choose to walk out today and will not tolerate retaliation of any kind as a result of participating or not. So someone in the chain below the CEOs who have accusations leveled against them and above the employees who are actually walking out are still supporting the employees. And that's the person whoever would have been responding to Kotaku when sending in questions for comment. This is neat, right? I guess? I don't know. Liam, totally understand if you have no comments on this one.
Well, no, I'm just happy to see that I would not understand what is happening at Riot in regards to the sexual allegations, apart from the Kotaku article from last year, but in regards to people doing something actively to try and force change in the video game industry is something I am incredibly in support of. Obviously, we have seen like the Epic Crunch, the NetherRealm stuff that's happening right now as well.
That's all coming out.
It is time that stuff like this happens. It needs to happen. Otherwise, stuff like assault and sexual abuse and like sexist remarks in the workplace, or like stuff like crunch, mismanagement, and abuse of power, all that kind of stuff that happens at other companies around the world, but people do stuff about because there are unions. Video games needs that. And this is one thing that has happened now at a major company that will help pave the way for more things to happen like this.
Yeah, and it's it is cool to see right now, but I'm gonna be honest, and I'm scared as hell of the next like 3-4 weeks when the current quarter ends. Are these people still going? Is Riot Games suddenly going to have to lay off 150 employees to meet the budget at the end of the quarter? We'll be waiting and finding out, and that's going to be the next big test. This is really an early step of a long and painful process that's not going to see everyone be saved. Because in order to find out the limits of how much they can ask for, some people out there got to go past those limits so the rest of people know. And hopefully that won't happen to any of these people. Like, there's some people I know personally who somehow ended up at a job at Riot these days, like Jared Rosen, who wrote a big expose about how poorly managed a corporate-sponsored Game Jam event was a few years ago, and involving the event where they tried to put JonTron and Zoe Quinn in the same room together. Yeah, he's working for Riot now, believe it or not. I hope he still is at the end of next year.
Yeah, hope things get better, because
yes,
there's been a lot of good news lately. Been a lot of terrible news.
Yeah, especially that horrifying stuff we saw before the podcast. Yeah, I sure do hope no one gets hurt. Wait, hang on, I can't. I feel like at this point we should just continually exaggerate and blow it out of proportion so people might know less about what we're talking about. Unless people already know what we're talking about, at which point anything we could say could come back against us.
Yeah,
I feel like you're not helping, but
oh man, people are like, oh, you're laughing at his. I mean,
there, right.
We're laughing at certain members.
Oh, that's true.
Member singular
of the community. A community. We don't know which community. We don't know what that member is attached to exactly.
We're being terrible human beings.
We don't know what that member is. Who that member belongs to. Member attached to member.
Oh God, not the member thing again. Stop. You just keep saying it.
You guys should see my notepad right now. I have this.
Have
this bit noted down as "edit this for better comedy."
Also, edit this.
You guys should see the podcast without it being edited. It's pretty bad.
If you thought this was a train wreck, oh boy.
So we still got at least 3 people who believe in us, though.
At least 3. Is that us 3? Because I don't know if me and Matt believe.
Well, actually, I also don't know if these people have sent in questions before, which means that there could be less than 3 now. But
I want to say something though. Liam.
Yeah.
For $400.
Yeah.
You can either get a standalone VR headset.
Yeah.
or a regular PC powered headset with inside out tracking, no sensors. They both come with touch controls. Standalone and PC powered. I would obviously go for the PC powered, but for $400, that's what we're at now. $400.
I was looking at the reviews of the Oculus Quest.
Yeah, that's out this week, isn't it?
And
Is it
I
out
was
today?
thinking...
No.
And I was
Later on this
thinking...
Month.
If I'm gonna go into VR, like I've always thought about PS4, PSVR, because I have a PS4 and it's kind of easy console setup. But obviously with my PS4 kind of on the last of its legs and dying, I'm slightly tempted if I do dip into VR. The Oculus Quest seems pretty good. Like a good.
The Quest is the standalone. The S is the PC powered one.
Yeah, I wouldn't get that because I don't have a PC powerful enough to do that.
All right, so
I would go with the Quest, so I
You'll go
can
with the
just
Quest.
play
Okay.
VR experiences.
So
That's what I would.
can it be
I'm not sure if
reverse-
I'm going to.
Engineered though, like is there a HDMI port on that thing or something?
Yeah,
where you can just put a cable up.
yeah, it's a HDMI. Oh, you mean the Quest?
No,
Yeah.
the Quest
Quest
is all
is
fully.
standalone.
The Quest is standalone. It's fully computing on its own.
Because I would totally buy the standalone one if it could do both, which I guess kind of
It does.
defeats
Be cool,
the whole
right?
purpose. But
That would be
yeah, that would be
good.
cool. That would be perfect. Best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to sponsor us so I can get $400 to buy an Oculus Quest, which would be a big waste of money for you? Please go ahead and do that.
Businesses are listening to us right now.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, there's a display in there somewhere. So theoretically,
There's
there's
one
the
less-
possibility for an HDMI port.
There's
Or
one less
some
YouTuber
port.
out there to sponsor after today's event, so you can send the sponsorship money our way.
So, all right. There's no the reason why I thought about you is because there's no sensors.
Oh, you thought about me.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about your apartment and having space for that. Like,
Yeah.
it's inside out tracking. Like, you could sit on your couch. You know, I've seen footage of it. I haven't tried it out myself, but I've seen footage of people just being outside of the Guardian system, is what you draw on the floor. But because it's inside out tracking, it still tracks you.
Yeah.
Because it's just tracking everything. So you can just sit down, enjoy something, and the only thing about inside out tracking and not having the sensors is that it kind of loses, I guess, a little bit of track for the controllers when you're all the way behind you. If you try to
Yeah,
put
that's
all
not
the-
going to happen because I can
But it
literally move
doesn't-
6 feet and
You
I'm
have
at the
to.
end of my apartment.
Yeah, you have to like do it though. You have to like push your arm back to do it.
Yeah,
Like, it depends
and-
on the game,
and most of the
it
time,
compensates.
You're going to
as
be
well.
looking at your hands anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
do
it
just want to play Beat Saber, so...
Yeah, it's and Beat Saber is definitely going to be on the mobile. I think
Yeah, it is.
most of
It
the
is.
stuff is going to be on like, the
I looked
mobile.
at the list of what it... Because obviously it's not got like the major processing power because obviously everything's computed on board.
So, really mainstream publications seem like they've got it. They've got reviews out. TechRadar
Yeah,
gave it a
they're
4.5.
really good reviews.
Oh yeah,
Verge gave it a 7.5.
it's you just pick it up, man. Like this is it. This is like
Yes.
this is the beginning of the future here.
I'm just going to pick up the
$400.
Wow,
$400 headset.
9.5 on IGN.
Yeah.
Sublime,
$400
untethered,
headset.
Dawn and Play more than makes up for graphical shortcoming.
This is why the Oculus is trying to go for like the more everyone VR headset, the mobile VR, like everyone who just wants to try out VR, do VR,
The Ready Player
all
One
on their
audience.
own without connecting to anything,
yeah.
standalone thing. You know, Vive is doing like their high end, sensors everywhere, perfect room scale, like.
Perfect.
This is
Yeah.
a very long list of launch titles, too. Oh, some of them are just apps. There's Oculus Browser here.
Yeah,
National Geographic VR Explorer.
That sounds cool to me.
Yeah,
That's the
there's
kind of
Moss,
experiences I
Beat
want.
Saber.
Though. I want
Yeah, and
dumb
you haven't
experiences.
tried
like
a
that.
bunch of them, and I would recommend.
Is Google
whenever you
Earth on
get
there?
this, you're eventually going to get one. Eventually,
Google Earth. Oh, I don't see Google Earth.
yeah.
Yo,
Yeah,
they better
so,
have a
yeah.
video player for MP4 files.
If anybody wants to sponsor old Dad and Sons,
It's up shilling.
I'll happily. Hey, Oculus, I'll happily review your headset.
God. Oh my god.
I don't know. I think it does look pretty neat. Like, it's cool seeing a new console come out that's not a traditional console that's still appealing to hardcore. Like, this is not like the Ouya launch at all. This looks like something that's substantial and different. Like, they're not filling a cheap niche. They're trying to spearhead an expensive high-end niche. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since the Neo Geo home version.
You got things like, I was about to say Arizona Sunshine. Is there Arizona Sunshine on there?
Nah, you don't need to play Arizona Sunshine anyway. It's kind of only it's kind of
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's fine.
Mediocre VR game. Let's move on to listener questions. Yeah. Because they got Super Hot, they got Beat Saber, they got Moss, they got the good stuff.
But we have
Super
our
Hot
sons and daughters and dads.
3 of them. There are at least 3 of them.
Lefty.
Okay. So, we got 3 questions we're going to tackle this week. If you would like to send in some to submit to the pile, that email address for you is going to be dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com. We are going to be trying to do something weird with getting more of an audience participation game back in here at some point. But until then,
we got some things cooking.
We are deliberating. We are in talks.
Hey, good looking.
We're in negotiations.
We set up a text chat room and named it the meeting room. First question comes from Jason C. Look to the launch of Artifact, Fallout 76, and the recent mobile Diablo game. More and more you can see backlash towards the games manifest as crowds literally booing at the developers. What are your thoughts of this recent trend, and do you think it will have an impact on how games are announced or even developed? In any other industry, that would be a massive PR embarrassment. In the gaming industry, not only is it happening more and more, but there's a narrative of gamers being entitled and whiny attached to it.
Yeah.
It's still a massive PR embarrassment when this kind of thing happens.
I don't think the two are mutually exclusive concepts.
Also, I feel like the Diablo
gamers.
thing... The Diablo thing is a little different to Artifact and Fallout 76. Obviously, we talked about Diablo in the past, and I felt like the way both sides handled it was a little rough, but the game wasn't even out. Nobody's played it, right? Whereas Artifact and Fallout 76, people were hyped about those games until they came out. And then when they came out, it was fair to criticize them, which is fine. You pay for a product, you can criticize it. There's a difference between when a game gets announced and everybody loses their shit over what it looks like or something.
The 3 cited examples, only one of them was a live crowd at the show actually booing the product on display. And speaking of other entertainment,
I think Artifacts got booed the first time it was announced because everybody expected it to be something else made by Valve, but it was a card game. But then obviously when it started to get shown more and more, people got more intrigued by it, and then there was like a big hype about it, but then it fell flat because it did so many major things wrong. But people fucking complained about Link's reimagining in the Wind Waker with his art style originally, so people just complain about everything.
The internet is getting... I mean, it's huge now, man. It's not 2000 anymore, man. We're 18 years into the future, and everyone has to talk about something, you know?
And everyone can. And I don't, like, that has created problems that I don't think our system was meant to solve. I don't think we know how to address the problem of making a product for an audience 5 million big, and every single person in that audience of 5 million having the potential to send cops to the developer's house.
Well, I feel like as you said, the systems we have in place, I don't think human beings have the ability to process the amount of criticism in which you could receive these days, like the thousands and thousands of comments about stuff.
Yeah, it's unprecedented. This is not a normal state of society that we're living through right now.
Yeah. I don't know. Video games is... I find it hard to look at other industries and feel like people are as entitled as people feel in the video games, I guess, via music. Like music industry, people might be like the relationships you have with like your favorite artists or your favorite bands is very similar to the relationships you have not only with your favorite games but your favorite developers. Like people will defend certain people to the death, right?
Big budget, big name, big ticket scams in the music industry, for comparison, might end up with you getting stranded on an island for a $1,000 festival that Jay-Z promised would come together. Whereas with video games, getting burnt by a bad product, you're out $60 in some hours of time. But it feels to me, as someone involved with video gaming, that the outlash is actually more intense here than in music, where the scams end with far higher monetary consequences on consumers getting ripped off.
But that's the double-edged sword about the games industry, I think, because games take so long to make and they are such an investment both financially and also, you know, human-wise, that if you announce something and it just gets backlash, all of that work is gone. Because it's so hard to come back from that backlash. There are only so many No Man's Skies in the world where people have completely reversed it around. I mean, Destiny maybe. But you look at Anthem. Anthem took 7 years. Yeah, it sold a fair amount. But my God, is the reputation of BioWare in tatters and EA and how people feel towards those companies now. So all of that work people spent because of literally 2 weeks of its launch. You build up to that point. It's so hard to ever come back from that. Like, just maybe in other industries, it's not such a long process. Maybe movies, but even then, movies seem to come out fairly quickly compared to video games.
And one thing that I think really needs to be taught to kids at a young age, and I thought this was a far more common sense, normal thing going into the adult world than it turned out to be, and that is just the basic fundamental lesson of not getting hyped for stuff until it's actually out and has proven itself. Like don't get emotionally invested in announcements. Don't believe the marketing that is made by people whose literal job it is to present a product in only its best possible light. Don't realize what financial incentives are at stake from people on which side of the transaction and adjust your reality accordingly.
Yeah, and by that same regard, do the same.
Diablo Immortal's not for me, and I don't care, and I can't get invested in the announcement because it's for poor people in China who just play games on their phones. It's not really for us anyway.
Yeah, exactly. By that same hand, don't immediately jump on the bandwagon to criticize people for character changes or stuff that comes out in a trailer that might be subject to change. I mean, fair enough with the Sonic trailer, that shit happens.
Yeah, case in point.
You know, it's difficult, but when a game comes out, you are within your full rights. It is a product you purchased, and in regards to something like Fallout 76, if it's just fundamentally broken, if it fundamentally has issues so broken, you are, by rights, entitled to like a refund or to complain in some regard. It is still a product you purchase. But until that point, it is very hard to be like, I'm just going to completely shit all over this, or I'm going to be so in love with this. And yeah.
And if there are gamers who are shitting all over this and are being entitled about it, then that's not really a narrative. That's the objective, factual truth.
I mean, if you don't like something and you want to voice your opinion, at least do it constructively, because then it helps.
The line between constructive criticism and destructive shit-talking is something that I think kids need to be taught at a young age, too, as the internet continues to exist for future generations.
So much so. Like, nobody is going to do anything for you if you just act negative towards them. If you point out that maybe something won't go down well, like you think maybe a character change or something, or this doesn't look very interesting, be constructive.
If you send Matt a chunk of the podcast before putting it out because you're worried.
Be constructive in every aspect.
Yeah.
Just be constructive. Constructive criticism works. People listen to constructive criticism. People do not listen to negative social media posts. That is 100%
it's
for sure.
It's the difference between tightening up the graphics on level 3 and why did you even bother to make level 3? God, what a piece of trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Level 3 is pretty trash, though. Come on.
Video games.
Video games. Let's talk about another question from Lefty D.
Ooh, Lefty D.
Exactly.
This one's more fun. Favorite controller? What's your favorite gimmicky controller? An arcade-like railgun shooter, or a tumbly bumbly racing cockpit, etc.
As in, not a normal standard controller? Like,
Hell
it
yeah!
has to be
This is a George topic.
Well, hands down is a arcade stick. Like a Mad Catz TE Tournament Street Fighter 4 Edition arcade stick. Fucking beautiful machines.
Yeah. I do like some of the crazy Japan arcades that I played, though. They have some really interesting controllers.
Yeah.
But
oh, those Gundam pods.
It's really ridiculous. But gotta go with this.
If you're keeping it simple, keeping it sweet. Yeah. The TE
is good, man.
is
Maybe
fantastic.
I grew up with it, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Japanese arcade game that showed up in a Dave & Buster's once when I was a kid called Police 911. It uses a frame of motion sensors and pressure pads that you stand on to determine where you, as a player, are leaning in front of the screen. And you lean out of the way of slow motion bullets that come firing at the screen. And you feel like fucking Neo. It's the goddamn Matrix when you're playing this game. It's the closest thing we had to Super Hot VR before Super Hot VR came out. And that, playing Police 911 and Dave & Buster's in like 2004 really might have started the downward spiral towards me loving gimmicky VR bullshit today.
There's some cool controllers. I mean, the Guitar Hero controller.
Not an arcade, man. It's all greasy and stuff. You gotta like.
you gotta take a cloth with you.
Yeah, the cloth is not enough, man. It's greasy.
You gotta take a pressure washer with you.
I touched it and I was like, oh no, this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. But I already put in my money, so I have to go in. I have to commit.
You have to lick it now.
Why does it feel like I'm holding McDonald's fries in my hands?
Like you have to take a shower after using a guitar controller at like Dave & Buster's or whatever.
I don't even know what that is. I'm gonna assume it's an arcade.
Dave & Buster's is an arcade dining establishment.
It's the closest thing we have to an arcade nowadays. You barely see like arcades like in Japan here. If any, to be honest. In certain cities, you just don't have any.
Yeah.
Round one is trying.
Arcades are a different beast in Japan, for sure.
We don't live in that kind of society.
I want to live in that.
So, next question comes from Will K. 2019 will see the finales of 3 long-running narratives in Game of Thrones, Avengers Endgame, and Star Wars Episode 9. How would you rank these movies and show for how well you think each will stick the landing? I guess we already have one of those already done. Which will have a flat, dull fart of an ending, a la the Hunger Games, and which one will maybe come close to something resembling a solid conclusion, a la the Lord of the Rings?
A griffin flew down and picked them up in Lord of the Rings. How's that a solid conclusion? I'm just like, it was fun. No, Lord of the Rings was fun.
They played real dramatic music when they did it.
Don't
Everyone looked sad.
Don't you fucking slander the Lord of the Rings?
No, man. I watched that. I watched the director's cut of that multiple times on Saturdays, man. I just...
I'm still pissed they didn't put in Tom Bombadil.
Movie series. I'm good. I might as well just rank
I
them.
would say Endgame.
Endgame was a 9 out of 10. Sticking the landing
really hard, man.
That was a 9 out of 10.
Good job.
Good job. Well done. Game of Thrones, I don't know. Pretty much like a 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10
I think Game
maybe.
of Thrones will be at the bottom.
Star Wars, we gotta speculate.
Star Wars will definitely be midway. I don't know.
I find it hard to imagine J.J. Abrams being able to like make a real vanilla normal movie again.
He's doing it?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, J.J. Abrams is the director.
Okay, why didn't he do the second one?
I don't know
because they didn't plan on having J.J. Abrams as the third one. It was going to be 3 different directors.
Rian Johnson also subverted the fuck out of it, and now it's got to get put back together. And I don't think you can do that successfly without it being without it out weirding the previous one. Yeah,
I liked it on the second time of watching. Yeah,
I loved the Last Jedi. I just don't know if you can really make a sequel to live up to it because it's so weird.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. Okay.
I will admit that the trailer for Rise of Skywalker didn't
no one's really in me.
make me excited.
I thought it was okay.
Whereas the other two trailers have made me
No one's
excited.
even really dead. Never really dead.
No, that's so fine. Okay, like, I'm a little angry with Red Letter Media drumming that up, because didn't they always want Star Wars to be more of a, like, supernatural, mythical story anyway? Like, how can you be mad at no one's ever really dead, and also be mad at midichlorians? Because isn't that what you want? Don't you want more magic in Star Wars?
Yeah.
And an afterlife is
I think it
magic.
was just a joke.
Midichlorians is the science. You can't disagree with the science.
I'm gonna watch Star Wars, and I'm gonna hopefully enjoy it, and that'll be it.
I think Star Wars will be like a solid 7-2. I think Game of Thrones is probably the way it's going so far. Feels like Game of Thrones is going to be at the bottom of these three, which I didn't expect.
Yeah, I didn't expect either, but holy crap.
The thing is, now I actually want to watch all this Marvel stuff to see it end good, because it's not often that stuff goes on that long and ends good.
It's Endgame. I watched it a second time, and the way they do the characters, it's like a character film. We have these characters that,
Like Smash Brothers?
yes, they dive deep into all these characters, and it almost make them feel human, even though there's superhuman. It's great. Absolutely. What?
I gotta pee again.
Well,
Time to end.
thanks for joining us for this episode
This
of
game.
Dad and Son.
I'll be right back. I thought you were gonna say something.
No, I need to go to bed.
Yeah. Well, that's it, right? We